So when we're going through the 1040 and we can't find this nice area to put some income in, where does it actually appear? Well, it's going to appear on line 8. Now, I do want to make it known that line 8 is not just like, oh, miscellaneous income, anything else, it just goes here. No, it can be significant, and it often is. So what's going to happen is we're going to be looking at Schedule 1, Part 1 of Schedule 1, and we're going to notice that's the income section. We're going to have a lot of things that appear there that'll then be transferred over to line number 8. So we're going to be taking a look at it. My name is Dr. Brian Winrow. I'm a tax attorney and tax professor, and this is part of my tax series. So we're on our last portion of income, and then we'll eventually move on over to our adjustments and into our credits and tax tables and issues like that. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at our Schedule 1 so we can start seeing what appears on our 1040 under line 8. All right, so what we're looking at here now is going to be Schedule 1, Part 1. Part 1 is the only part that's going to be used to get to our line 8 on our 1040. There are other parts here, so if we're looking at this Schedule 1, we'd also see there's a part for adjustments, but that doesn't impact line number 8, which is the focus of this video. So line 8 is going to only deal with this first part, and that means that we're only dealing with income portions. So it could be things like alimony in certain situations. It could be things like refunds. It could be gambling. It could be things such as jury duty money. That could be included over here. Prizes and awards. It could be hobby, right? If you have a hobby versus a business, it could appear here. Partnerships, S corporations, Schedule C, they're all going to be appearing on our Schedule 1, and then they're going to be brought over as well. So all of those things are going to impact our income. So when you're going through, and maybe you're using a tax program, or maybe you're working with a tax preparer and they ask you something about, hey, Alaska. And you're like, well, come on, I don't live in Alaska. Why are you asking me these types of questions? Well, what they're doing is they're trying to go through and make sure that you don't have other income, which is going to be brought over to line number 8. And why do we care? Well, the IRS cares because if you have this other income, what it does is it brings you over and it's going to increase your AGI. And we already know the AGI is such a significant number because when we're dealing with AGI, what that does is that impacts our credits, it impacts our tax rate, and it could even impact whether we can take certain deductions, right? Like medical expenses have to be 7.5% of AGI before we can take any type of deduction. So all of the things listed here are going to impact us on our 1040. So this uses income items. So what we're going to go ahead and do in just a moment is we're going to go and look at some of the key categories, and you can see where some of the different amounts appear. So like on partnerships, where is the money from partnerships or Schedule C coming from? I mean, that way we're able to take a look at those things. Another thing I wanted to mention to you, there are some lines here that have more of a catch-all. If you look at 8Z, it's other income. So you would have to specifically list things. Like if you had hobby income, you'd probably put it under 8Z is where I'd expect. Maybe certain types of illegal income. If it's not a trade or a business would go Schedule C, but otherwise it could appear on 8Z. But you have to classify what appears on 8Z. Once you go through and you fill this part out, we get all the way through 8, then number 9 is going to have you add up all of that 8. And then number 10 is adding everything together from part 1. And it's the amount from line 10 on our Schedule 1 that we're going to bring over to our 1040 line number 8. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the more common types that you might see on our other income for line 8. And to see, where it appears first, because it's not appearing directly on line 8. It's either going to be appearing here on Schedule 1, but sometimes it appears on another form or schedule before it even gets to Schedule 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so these are some of the more common examples that we have that are going to be on our Schedule 1 that are going to eventually appear on our line number 8 of our 1040. So here's some of the ones that we're looking at, and you can see where they originate from. So partnerships starts with the K1. It's going to go to Schedule E. It's going to get to over Schedule 1. Then from Schedule 1, it's going to make its way over to our line number 8. The way it makes its way over to line number 8 is it's going to be included on line 10 of our Schedule 1 that we just looked at. Same thing with our S corporation income. Our Schedule C is going to come from Schedule C to the Schedule 1, come to line 10 on Schedule 1, and then be carried on over to line 8 on our 1040. Rental income starts on Schedule E. Farm income starts on Schedule F. And then you have some that are appearing directly on our Schedule 1. Now, we're going to have our gambling winnings on Schedule 1, line 8B, prizes and awards. Hobby income. Hey, notice I did misspeak on the previous portion. I said hobby income probably going to be on 8Z. Well, you could actually put it on 8J because you're not engaging in it for profit necessarily. So it could be an 8J item. Cancellation of debt, taxable scholarships or stipend, right? So they're not being used for educational purposes. They're being used for say food, or you have scholarships that exceed your tuition and all that stuff. So that there are possibilities of being taxed on that. And jury duty pay, if you keep it, then you'd include that too. So all these things are going to appear on your Schedule 1. They may not have initially originated on Schedule 1, but they will appear on Schedule 1. They're going to eventually be put into line number 10 when we add up all of Schedule number 1 under Part 1. And then we're going to carry that over to our 1040 line 8, and that is where we finish off with our income. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shift away from income, and now we've got to start looking at our different types of credits that are going to be out there. So we want to take a look at some of the credits. We want to take a look at some of our deductions as well, tax rates, things like that. So that's where we're heading next. So subscribe to this channel so that way you can keep up to date as I continue to finish this line by line series.